You have the option to find the next like low competition thing, or you can like, okay, how do I just beat competition every single time and I can stay in this same market? Like, let me just be better than everybody else.
I thoroughly believe we are the first people ever in Georgia, and we are ripping the whole state, and we are buying at 30%, selling at 100% over and over and over again. Things have changed a little bit.
We have people who are doing buy for 700, sell for 800. They're making $100,000. The seller's getting a ton of money. No, those broker fees, anything like that. Like, there's so many different ways you can do it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. Today's topic we're talking about is the land investing space in general, competition on the rise, and what to do. I'm your host, Daniel Apke, joined by my brother and business partner, Ron Apke. And the reason we wanted to get into this, Ron, is what's the most common question we ask with objections to joining the land investing space, with objections to joining land flipping and education and just people getting started is competition. Is it too hard to get into? So we're going to address that head on. But I first want to say competition obviously is rising. It rises in every very profitable industry. It's much, much lower in land investing and land flipping than a lot of other spaces. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the rising competition, but how to counter it as well, Ron.
Yeah, I think it's a great topic. I think it's a timely topic for sure. I just got out of a deal review with our members and probably reviewed 15 deals or something, and like 13 of them are just like, not, I wouldn't say home runs, but buy for 20, sell for 50. Like, the deals are out there, and I think that's what, I think it's more of the mindset that people struggle with some, because the deals are definitely out there.
Yeah, we can talk about that first if you want, because this is often it's an external factor that keeps people back from taking action. One of the most common ones, they're looking for things externally instead of internally. And at the end of the day, Ron, house flipping's 10 times more competitive than land flipping, probably more than that, probably 20, 30 times, maybe even more than that. And that's just factual. And I think there's always going to be competition anywhere you go. You're not going to find something with zero competition ever, but we have a lot of really, really solid ways to pivot that, Ron. But let's first talk about the mindset of why you shouldn't be thinking about this in general.
Yeah, I think it's like anything in life, like you see what you want to see. And I think people who come in thinking it's going to be competitive, like that's what they're going to see. They're going to hear sellers saying, I got 3 letters or something like that. And they're looking for that and nitpicking that or hearing that in the Discord and finding that, opposed to like listening to all the deals that are happening. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, look at the positives, look at all the people that are making money in this business and find out what they're doing, pick their brains, listen to what they're saying, see what they're saying in Discord, and like follow that lead. I think so many people naturally like follow the negative thing and assume that it's all negative, opposed to like the top people. Like, you want to be one of the top 10% people doing this business, you're going to make 7 figures in this business. If you want to be one of the people that aren't making money, follow the people that aren't making money. So I think that's kind of like who you're learning from, I think, is really big. And then just like your mentality coming in.
Yeah, it's 2 types of people. There's the people who put the earmuffs on, Ron, and block out the noise and go get after it. And they're not worried. They're going to do their own thing. They're confident in their ability, and they know they're going to make it happen. Then there's more pessimistic type of people, which is okay. It's a large majority of people. I don't know about majority, but it's a large percentage of people. And they're just looking, like you said, for things, excuses, essentially, instead of just looking in the mirror internally. Because the facts are, stick to the facts. What are the facts? People are coming in every day and doing this successfully. Yep. People have been doing it successfully for a long time. So the sustainability is there. New people are coming in and doing it successfully. People are getting deals every day. When you start looking at the facts and then start thinking, why not me? Like, is there anything stopping me from going and doing it? And realizing the answer is you, not external. I mean, this is very doable, guys. The reason I love real estate investing so much, specifically land, is because it doesn't take a genius to do it. I wouldn't advise people to go and start a software company. We've done that with the land portal. I know the hurdles, the financing you need behind you, the knowledge you need, the engineering you need. I know the different things that you need from experience with it. And I know land investing very well as well. And that's why we direct people to start land investing, not start a software company, like land investing. You don't need to be the brightest person. You just need to have that grit and have that work ethic, Ron, to just stay consistent, because a lot of people come in and send one mailer out or send one text campaign out, and then they stop. Why do they stop? They didn't get responses. It didn't go the way they were hoping for. Mm-hmm. That's why I always tell people, I don't care about your first mailer. I really don't. I care about your fifth mailer. Can you get through that many? Once you hit five marketing campaigns, five whatever. I don't care about your first marketing campaign. I care about your fifth. Once you get there, it changes because you've been through the rough run and you showed grit to get out of it.
Ton of momentum at that point. And the first thing you said was the earmuff thing. And it came, I don't know if it was on camera or not when I was talking to Nick Herzog. It came out, I think the podcast came out last week, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking, I believe it was off camera, but I could be wrong. And he's like, honestly, he was telling me about his first year and like he's did 30 deals in his first year. And then he asked me if like that's good. And and he had no clue, like genuinely no clue if he was doing
That's
well.
insane.
Like, dude, Nick, you did 30 deals your first year. Like you're a top
Good for
5%
him.
person in this business, but 100% earmuff, just send the mail, wait for it. He's like, I'm not changing anything you guys are really doing. Is he going to grow from what he did in 2024 and make adjustments and maybe do some niches? Absolutely. But he was just like full steam ahead. I'm committing to this, and he's going to make it happen. He's going to make it happen himself and not kind of blame external things if things don't go right.
Yeah, and I want to. That's a really good case study. Yeah, that's crazy, Nick. Congrats on that. I didn't know 30 deals is large volume.
30 could be wrong, but it was over 20. I don't know what the exact number was, but I feel like it was close to
But
30.
either way, that's
Yeah.
a good amount of deals. Is that his first full year?
I don't think it was even a full year. Again, I could be wrong. We recorded it probably a month ago or so, and it just came out last week. I just remember that part of the conversation. I'm like, crap, you're doing awesome, man.
Crushing it, nice. And that's what we're talking about. Put those earmuffs on and find ways to get it done rather than hold you back. But let's get in some of the meat. I first want to talk about why it's getting so competitive. I shouldn't say so competitive. Why it's getting more competitive and people are entering it is because of the profitability and because of the low capital needed and because of the low risk. It's all the reasons why we love this business. So of course, naturally over time, people are going to enter the market just like we did, just like you guys did, just like whoever's listening. And that's fine. Like that's completely fine because a lot of them will drop off. And the more competition that comes, the more opportunities are created for pivoting, Ron. And I love the opportunities in land. I've actually never felt so optimistic about this industry. When we first joined land, Ron, and we were starting to do land, we didn't know if we could get deals on the East Coast. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
We're like, is it possible to get land deals? And we're like, what if we sent to Ohio? Like that was so out there.
Yeah.
We're like, what if we tried to target Ohio or Tennessee or Georgia? I thoroughly believe we were the first people ever in Georgia. Just by the
Based
phone
on the
calls and
results.
everyone. Like we sent that whole state and we were ripping the whole state. And that's just the reality of it. And we were buying at 30%, selling at 100% over and over and over again like that. It was easy. Things have changed a little bit. Now they're getting multiple letters. No big deal. Competition's still very low. Now that's why we introduced follow-up texting. That's why we introduced cold calling. It's not a big deal. There's so much land inventory out there. You're gonna have to work a little harder to get your leads, but it's not going to change much. But I want to. That's the main reason. I just want to touch on why it's getting it, and there's ways to counter that. And the first ways to counter it, Ron, we can just talk about differentiators and just how to differentiate yourself. And then I'm going to talk about actual real pivots that I believe in.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the why, I mean, it's just people find things that are ultra profitable, and it still is ultra profitable. It might just take a little more legwork than it used to in terms of getting a deal, whatever it is. But I mean, people find things that are profitable. Like Dan said, people fall off all the time. Sometimes people come in, think it's too easy, and then they fall off because they're like, okay, I didn't get a deal in my first 5 seconds. I'm gonna not do this. I think the other thing is though, there's so many distractions now with like different marketing strategies. I think people really, that's why I think Nick did so well. He's just, I'm sending mail, I'm sending mail, I'm sending mail, nothing else. And a lot of the people that I
John
interview
Horner.
consistently are just very, very consistent with one marketing strategy. They know they have a good sales process on the back end, and they're not really making their business more complicated.
Right.
The second part of your question, Dan, is how to combat that. I think going into that, I think being a sales oriented, acquisition person is very beneficial for sure. Like knowing how to talk to sellers, knowing how to make deals happen, being a problem solver for sellers are kind of the biggest things I think, Dan.
Yeah, and there's still a good portion of the people, like you said, just sending mail. So how do you combat people just sending mail? You send text, you send cold calls, you send cold emails, you send ringless voicemails, you try different strategies and hit them in different places. You build rapport on the phones, you attack every lead, you offer them different strategies. Oh, they don't want to sell for 40%, let's sell here and here, or try this and this. So there's different ways to differentiate yourself, and we've had a lot of episodes on that, but in general, staying consistent, marketing, hitting them multiple times, being very good on the phone. That's the number one thing we see with these people who do well is their, not everyone, you don't need it, but their ability to attack deals, to negotiate, to tackle them on the phone and just be aggressive and want the deal and find solutions, like you said, Ron. That is by far the number one successful trait we see.
Find out what a seller wants and then get them what they want. Like not in terms of the exact dollar amount, but what are they looking for? Are they looking for like fast cash? Like, okay, your offer's gonna be a little lower. Are they looking for the most money? Okay, we can do a double close. There's so many different options, like trying to tackle deals down, and people who are like short short-sighted with it and don't like give options or stuff, like that's the minimum we say when you're pitching, when a seller's like pushing back on your original number, like, okay, let's pitch double close, let's pitch a 2-week cash offer, and let's pitch a 120-day offer, and those are the differences, and then 90% of the time they're going to choose one of those offers, Dan.
Yep, I agree. And I want to get to some of these different things that I think really, because the meat of the show, Ron, is competition. So how do we really counter competition besides doing the same thing they're doing? How do we be different than them? And I think there's some different niches in here that I want to touch on, because this is how you, because we can go from, competition of just buying and flipping and sending letters to almost zero competition with these. And I mean it. So I want to talk about how to actually, if you want to, and don't be scared of competition, but if you want to weave completely away from competition, which is going to always be a battle because people are going to find you and find what you're doing. But if you want to weave completely away into highly profitable areas and niches that we discovered, we're going to talk about those now, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking about earlier when we were talking about this. Like, you have the option to, I don't want to say run away from competition, but find the next like low competition thing in this industry. Or you can like, okay, how do I just beat competition every single time and I can stay in this same market for 10 years and keep doing deals in the same market? Like, I think there's a lot
That's
bigger advantage to
sustainable.
that, instead of just completely like, okay, let me find out where there's no competition in this business. Like, let me just be better than everybody else. That's the way to be as sustainable as possible.
For sure. And that's why you don't want to completely go away from the standard land investing strategies, I don't think. But I'm going to talk about 4 of them here that I think can really help you if you just want to completely dodge competition in general. And I don't suggest just completely going after these, but at the same time, during the gold rush, everyone went out west for their gold and made generational wealth. I think there's
Mhm.
a lot of good opportunities like that within these different niches as well. First one I want to talk about, we're going to talk about 3 or 4 different niches that I really believe will dodge competition out. And that's what I want to get to on the show. And I think that's the value we can provide you and the most value we can provide. Before we get back to the show, guys, make sure to leave us a comment and hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Ron and I read through every single comment individually. It helps us plan our 2025, our topics, what you guys want to hear, and helps us improve the show. It means a lot, guys. And let's get back to the show. So first one, Ron, I want to talk about is minor subdivides. And minor subdivides are talked about a lot, but are people actually targeting them? Not many of them. And that's why I want to talk about it, because there's not many people out here actually targeting minor subdivides. They're starting to be more and more, Ron, but I'm talking about, buy for 100, 200,000, subdivide it up into 10 to 20 parcels and resell for 3, 4 extra money. And the reason I love this so much is because, one, there's no competition up there. Really very, very scarce. And there's no competition because why? Because we can offer almost market value. We can offer 90% and be fine. We're splitting it up. We're adding improvements. We're doing all this stuff. We can go on the market and attack on market deals. Now our inventory, our acquisition strategy changes, and we're buying on market, improving it. It just becomes very, very sustainable, Ron.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Targeting them is a big portion where you don't need to do a deal a month even to make $500,000 doing subdivides. Like, you can do a deal every quarter and make $500,000 subdividing, do 4 deals a year, 5 deals a year. So I think that's about, you don't need to do a high volume of deals for it. So there's so much opportunity. If you can actually learn how to target them properly and then do the deals, like, it's extremely scalable.
I agree. And anything else you want to touch on minor subdivides? Like one, so this topic's about competition. Like, let's talk about why the competition goes away at minor subdivisions.
Yeah, I mean, there's an added skill. You need to know how to analyze. Like, analyzing a deal is one thing as far as a buy and flip. It's not. I mean, it takes time, but if it's pretty standard, it's not that difficult. But then you have another aspect of like managing how to predict the back end sales of a minor subdivide. Now you're projecting 5, 7, 10 parcels and what they're going to sell for if the market calls for it. It's just another added layer to people getting in.
Yeah, people are scared, but I think you missed the biggest one, which is funding. If you're going after two
For
hundred
sure.
thousand dollar deals, like what's stopping people from a $200,000 deal is they're scared because of money. They're scared they can't get the money. They actually can't get the money. They don't have the skills to get the money yet. They haven't proven themselves, and I think that's the biggest hurdle is like the dollar figure on it.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
And then secondary, the extra work and things needed, but it's underlooked at, guys. Like once you have a couple deals under your belt, go after them. Don't go after crazy ones. Go after, you can target on the land portal road frontage now. Target the exact amount of feet you want, and you can get very specific and go after them. Like, don't be scared of these. Go out. You don't need to split them up 20 times. You can have a simple 3, 4, 5 split run, and that's why I think people get scared. They overcomplicate it.
That's a
But
good
moving
point.
to the next that I want to talk about, and one of my favorites as well, high ticket double closing. Same philosophy on minor subdivides. No one's going at the top, right? No one's going after $400,000 deals. No one's going after $200,000 deals. Very, very few people. And if you can go after those deals and offer 85%, a high ticket double closing is where you're going after a $250,000 property that's worth $350,000. It doesn't qualify for traditional deal funding because the profit margins aren't there. Maybe it's a little risky, whatever. The margins aren't there. So high ticket double closing and even targeting them becomes a thing where you can get them under 120-day attorney in fact, put down money, post it on a flat rate broker, get a buyer for it at 425. You bought it for 350. You make 75 grand. There is almost 0% of competition there, Ron. Just people going after 80% market value, high ticket products.
Yeah, you can make 20% on these pretty easily, and you don't really have any money out of your pocket.
You have
You
no
just
money
need
out of your pocket, really.
transactional funding or something like that. But yeah, high ticket double closing is. You have people who target it, then you have people that like run into it. I'm not sure. The targeting, it's great, I think. But yeah, I 100% the strategy of we have people who are doing buy for 700, sell for 800, and it makes sense from everybody's end. They're making $100,000. The seller's getting a ton of money. No, those broker fees, anything like that. The end buyer's happy. They're getting a piece of land. Like there's so many different ways you can do it.
Exactly. And then next we have the third one. This is going to be our final one we talk about, Ron, is survey hacking.
Hmm.
Survey hacking is the same what you just said. You can run into it or you can target it. The reason survey hacking has zero competition, I'm going to say this is the closest one to actual zero competition, is because no one's ever targeted land this way. So you're targeting houses that are on land, or you're targeting land to buy part of their land. So those landowners have gotten offers before, but they've never gotten it to buy part of their land. And those house owners have gotten house offers before, Ron, but they've never said, hey, I can subdivide off. They've never heard, hey, I can subdivide off 5 of your acres. You keep that in the house. I'll take the 40 other acres. Or I'll take 20 acres. You keep the 40. They've never seen that before. So it's allowing homeowners a way to liquidate part of their asset, which is very unique. And the inventory quadruplifies. Now you can go after not only big parcels of land, you can go after houses as well. So and it intrigues the sellers because now the sellers can sell part of their asset. They don't want to sell their whole thing. Their house is on it. They want some of their land and they just need to liquidate a little bit. And you're giving them a high value offer.
Yeah, I think survey hacking, like you said, there's so little competition with it. If people can figure out their little niche in it, there's so many different ways to go about these, especially survey hacking, the ways to go about these niches, like as far as targeting everything like that. Like you can really separate yourself and stay in a market for so long because you're going to get so many responses, and it's such an open-ended strategy where you can buy 5 acres of someone's parcel or 10 acres or 12, whatever it is.
Mhm.
There's no defined like you have to buy X amount of this person's parcel.
I agree. Those are the three I really want to talk about. So you have the ability, guys, when competition comes in, competition's rising. First off, don't be scared because it's not high. It's very,
Mhm.
very low in this industry, Ron. And I don't want people to misread this title on YouTube or podcast or whatever they're on. The competition's extremely low. I still love the business. We're still doing the business. We're still investing in deals. It's great. It's phenomenal. It's better than it's ever been. But it creates other opportunities for us to pivot into other spaces that we didn't know about 5 years ago. We didn't know
Mhm.
about 10 years ago. So it's giving us a lot of opportunities ahead of us. but there are ways to differentiate yourself within the standard land investing formula also. Offering double closes, being consistent, follow-up texting, ringless voicemails, continuing to hit the same person over and over again, and be incredibly good on the phones. I think those are the keys here, Ron.
Yeah, I think the other thing that you talked about earlier, Dan, that we didn't really touch as far as a key is deal funding being a part of your business. Like deal funding, investor relationships being a cornerstone of your business is the last thing I just wanted to touch on, guys. Because if you can get, it's not always about cheaper money, but you can get, if you have access to $700,000 of money, like you can do so many things. And those are the most successful people that combine all this other stuff, but they have access to capital, and it's not the most expensive capital in the world. So that's the last thing I want to touch on, Dan.
Yeah, and that's one thing we're going through in our coaching onboarding now with, Mike and Wayne and Derek and all these other coaches we have. Uh, One of the first things for experienced people that we're asking is confidence of funding on their onboarding.
That's
Like,
a good
what's your
question.
confidence you can get 2, 3 deals today and get 100% certainty funding on it? 25% confidence,
Hmm,
50% confidence, 75% confidence. That's a good gauge because you can only scale as much as your capital. And I want to throw that out there because a lot of these other pivots that we're talking about, a lot of these other niches, high ticket double closing, you're going to need transactional funding. That's easy, actually. Go to
oh,
doubleclose.com,
that's easy. Yeah,
transactional funding. That's the easiest to get because that's the most developed. That came from wholesaling, who's been around, wholesaling houses that's been around so long, Ron. That's where that came from. So it's very established, I should say. And then, you're talking about minor subdivides, $200,000 deals, things like that. You cannot scale if you can't get that 300,000. Even though it's going to turn to 700, 800, you got to find partners that can put up $300,000 liquid cash to buy it, and that can be um, challenging for some people. So that's a big pillar of your business when minor subdividing.
for sure. I don't know anything else to add,
No,
man.
good to go.
Awesome. If you guys are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below. Listen on Spotify or Apple. Share this with a friend. Share it on your Instagram story. Really helps. Other than that, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining, guys. As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.